So you had talked earlier about following the flush. Could you just talk our audience through what happens to the bodies of these babies after they're flushed?
Okay. So we've seen in the news babies stuck in apartment building pipes. We've seen them even in toilets, right? In restaurants and things like that. So those are the older babies. The women are not properly dating. But let's just talk about the standard, even if they say 10 weeks, 11 weeks, we know that it's probably mostly used between 9 and 12. The abortionists know this. The pills don't work real well before 9 weeks, and they don't work real well after 15 weeks. Okay, so that's just kind of, we know that they're kind of gearing these women to stay within these. So the baby goes down the toilet. Now, a couple of things happen. And so bear with me, everybody, because this gets really kind of nasty. But I think until we really get a reality check on that, we're being complicit in it, right? Okay, so the babies will go through a sewer system. And, you know, our pipe from our house is this big, but then it goes into the street. And there's these bladders that will push all the excrement, everything that goes down the toilet to these, what they're called lift grates. Okay, so that's the first grate. Now, fats, oils, and grease get caught here. They call them fat burbs, and they're big glogs, and you'll see them on the news, baby wipes and fats, oils, and grease. Well, there's also babies in there. That's one of our campaigns at the Capitol Hill right now. It's not the baby wipes, it's the babies that are clogging pipes. So that can actually cause an overflow in your city, in your street. Okay. So this happens in Florida a lot. Like they went from maybe one overflow in Orlando up to 5 in just during that 2016 time. Coincidence? Maybe. So they can get stuck there, which means that they're lifted out with a backhoe and sent out to the landfill. Hospital in San Jose, 3 placenta wraps after birth, they got caught disposing, and it was over $1 million in fines. So dumping any babies and their placentas, right? No matter how small. Remember, in EPA, it doesn't matter how much it is, it's what it is. Okay? Because if that one placenta is infected from mom, attaches to all the rest in that process, it's contaminating everything along the way. So the contamination is exponential.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the first sift. And then they will go and let's say they get through that. So the grates are 1/8 inch. Smaller babies will get through. They don't dissolve like the excrement. See, this is designed to kind of break up the poop and stuff. Because the babies, we call it a viscous. It's a human body. There's little cartilage, little sticky skin. The placenta is an organ, so it doesn't disintegrate, doesn't break down. If it gets to what's called the bar screen, the head of the wastewater plant, again, there's another sift to get the Legos out, to get the things that everybody flushes down their toilet that they didn't mean to or they're not supposed to. Again, that gets collected, put in a garbage bin, and sent out to the landfill. So the bigger babies are going maybe to the landfill. But let's say one of these they have these bladders along the way that kind of push them through. Then they're in the process of the wastewater plant. Whatever goes in there comes out somewhere. It's either sifted off after several hours and put into biosolids. Now you'll hear biosolids. That's all the stuff sifted off, the sand, the poop left over. And it kind of settles and they scrape it and then they put it in a truck and either take it out and put it on our crops, put it out in pastures. Some burn it for energy. Babies are in there. But by now, some of those babies have been desecrated, mutilated along the way. And then any, residual tissues are going to be in the water side. So they're microscopic, but you yourself, you did a beautiful paper on fetal cells in cosmetics. We know that fetal cells are in vaccines. These are beyond fetal cells, as Dr. Pat Castle says. These are actual residual tissues. They're microscopic. Now, I haven't tried to find them. I don't have the $3 million that it would take to find them but that's not my job. That's FDA's job. That's the drug maker's job, to convince all of us, to assure us that we're not consuming. Because after this, then, the fertilizers in our crops, or in Lowe's, the bag of fertilizer you buy for your garden, for your roses, theoretically, logically, they could be in there. And then the effluent that goes out into the water, like the environment, let's say. In Florida in particular, up by Jacksonville, there's 5 plants. They only do secondary rinse and then dump into the river, the Indian, I want to say it's above the St. Lucie, sorry. But that's where all the seagrass for the manatees is dying. Now they're blaming it on the agriculture of overflow, but what if it's not? What if it's the imbalance, Jackson, near some colleges, maybe near a lot of abortions? When these babies come through, they're full of phosphorus and nitrogen, and they're treating them thinking it's just poop and pee with the chemicals, but actually too much phosphorus and nitrogen are coming out. Are they because of the babies? I don't know. I think that somebody else need to prove that it doesn't. Right? So then we've got them in our water. And if they're recharging our water table in Florida, they're in the Everglades, in the rivers, in the reservoirs. In California, Lake Mission Viejo is recharged with purple pipe water. So California, they're everywhere.
Yeah. Is there any other way our water could get contaminated with like human cells, or is it only the aborted babies? Because that's a objection I could see someone making to this argument of like, oh, well, anytime there's rain on a graveyard, then theoretically it could get contaminated, or someone talking through some other way that human cells could end up in our water system. Do you have any
would that be incidental or intentional?
This seems more incidental for people that are consuming products, though, that could be contaminated with the water. Because when you're taking cosmetics or vaccines or anything that is directly made and wouldn't exist except for the fetal cells, that seems more intentional than the evil of the abortion company is contaminating the water. It seems like there's different levels there.
Could be, but I think it goes back to the fact that these are humans. They're being flushed. They're being unlawfully flushed. So what you have to do is you have to say it's unlawful. These are the reasons why. Medical wastes are regulated for a reason, but their disposal, because of their contamination. All medical personnel, if you're licensed, you have agreed to what's called universal precautions, which is to protect the public from harm. In the clinic, when they extract these babies, they have to segregate them, separate them, and make sure that they're disposed of, the baby here, the regulated waste here, and the other special waste over here. These babies are going down the toilet not separated, not segregated. In Texas, they used to be able to pre-treat them in a chemical, put them through a garbage disposal, and then it was legal to put them out. Now, they changed that law once we all said, wait a minute, we're approving human cells, human beings, right? So when I got on this, I was looking for the unlawfulness, and then I was now more the offensiveness of it all. And there's rules on that too. This is our public water, and we have a right to know what's in our water, and it's not being disclosed. It's also what's called an offensive contaminant, meaning morally we're objected to it. And we have rights on that. So we just have to follow through on some of that. But for the last 4 years, for sure, we haven't been able to maybe get anywhere on that. And hopefully we will now.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree it's a problem. It was just more of like, how would you respond to people saying that? And that seems like a good response. So
yeah, the biggest challenge is the miscarriage, or a woman with a heavy period. Again, it's a blood clot. So remember, they told us it was just blood clot and tissues, meaning they break down. The babies don't break down. They break down differently. Show me where you looked at that and deemed it A-okay, and then our argument is moot. But I don't think they'll be able to. And the other is going back to what I found in this foxhole was the unlawful approval of the drugs in the first place.